Good afternoon, everybody. Kayla Savage here, Community Development Division Director. Glad to be the guest here today. Andrew is at a training this week, and so it's good to see folks and appreciate everybody joining us today. We do have lots of people that were signed up to attend today, but there were some that had some things come up. So we are going to go ahead and record today's Third Thursday. We don't typically do that, but we are doing that today, and we'll have that available on our website sometime probably next week, hopefully once the recording is done. So if there's anybody that you know of that wasn't able to join today and you want to forward it on to them, we'll have it available then. And the main focus today is going to be to talk about the CDBG CVR program, which is essentially the fourth and what we're hoping will be the final round of CV. And Brandon is going to be going into all the details on that. But I wanted to start with a real quick solution to a problem that came to us today just a little bit earlier. If you've got a child care related project, a CDBG child care related project, we've been notified that there is, and this is not going to be a surprise, I think, to anyone on this call, but there's been a backlog at the fire marshal's office for the review and approval of code footprint. So especially if you're doing a significant rehab project for childcare or a new build for childcare, that code footprint, of course, has to be signed off by the fire marshal. We are not going to require the approved code footprint at the time of application. We are only going to ask that you provide proof of having the code footprint submitted to the fire marshal, because we know that that process that review process has been pretty long. They're very backlogged. And so we just want to see that the code footprint has been submitted to them. And then in the event that your project is actually selected to be funded, then at that point, before any funds can be dispersed, we would need verification that the code footprint has been approved. I think most of you know that the code footprint has to be approved before any operation can take place anyway, but that often is much farther along the lines after the construction process. So we're trying to meet people where they're at with understanding that things are caught up in the fire marshal's office. If anybody has any questions right now about that, go ahead. You can take yourself off mute. If anybody needs any clarification on or making that even clearer, you don't have to have the code footprint approved at application time, just that you've submitted to the fire marshal's office.
And there will be somewhere where we need to submit like a upload portion for that.
We will, we'll figure out the mechanics of how to make that happen on the application side. That's a good question, Crystal. Like I said, we just got this word today, and so we need to work out exactly what that might look like to be able to provide that proof. And we'll get back to you on that. But yes, that would be my initial thought. It would be an upload option. For that proof. So, any other questions on that? Okay, well, that was pretty simple. Brandon, I'm going to hand it over to you to talk about CVR, and we'll get right into the thick of it.
All right, everyone. So my name is Brandon Hutton. I've been if you've been to any of these Third Thursdays, you know who I am. If you've been to the road shows. Today I'm going to be talking about the fourth CV grant opportunity, which we've decided to call CVR, which stands for Resiliency Improvement. So this is a COVID Resiliency Improvement Grant. I want to go through it today. You're kind of the first people to really know about this. And so we're doing kind of an initial kickoff with you all today. We want to make sure we get some questions so that we can start building up our FAQ and see if there's any key points that we might have missed before we actually release the application here in the next couple of weeks. So you all should be seeing the PowerPoint presentation. So we're going to dive right into it. So just to make sure we are doing our introductions, Kayla was just speaking. My name is Brandon at the bottom. Andrew Heyman is out at a conference. We've got Ann over here and Tim. Ginny and Linda are not on today just because they are out of the office. But this is all the CDBG team. These are all the folks that are going to be helping you through the CDBG processes moving forward. For a roadmap for today, we're going to talk about what CVR is and why it is a focus for this remaining funds. We're going to talk about the available and eligible uses for those funds. We'll go over the requirements. We'll talk a little bit about what the application is going to look like, and then we'll end it with a question and hopefully some answer section, but mainly discussion. So what is CDBG CVR? So if you are familiar with any of the previous CV grant opportunities, we had 1 through 3 the past couple of years. CVR is a COVID resiliency program based off of the CV program. We have $2 million left from the CARES Act funding that we would like to use. And we decided to create a hopefully final grant program to get these funds into your hands. The eligible uses of the CVR funds. We want these funds to go towards business upgrades to remain open to prevent further closures to community due to community illnesses or health emergencies. So the idea behind this project is to get money in the hands of local businesses so that they can prepare themselves just in case we have another major health community, ideally so that they don't have to close. You can use these funds for technology, any type of hardware or software upgrades that include any type of infrastructure needs that your businesses might have, purchasing of devices or even applications to use to benefit e-commerce and make any updates to your current e-commerce programs. This would be online management systems, website enhancements, anything that can help with the e-commerce side of small businesses. You can also use these funds for professional development and training for those business enhancements. So one of the things that I have always experienced in my previous roles was that we could throw technology in people's faces, but if they don't have any professional development on how to use it, it kind of goes to waste. So I want to make sure that if you have businesses that really want to take their business to the next level e-commerce wise, they have some training behind it so that they can implement those changes effectively. And then there's going to be other uses that this funding can be used for. It is pretty broad, but it all has to relate to resiliency improvements so that the businesses stay open in case of public health emergencies and closures like that. No, I'm using the wrong one. I mentioned that there is $2 million in total funding. This is a CDBG grant at its base. And so there's going to be city and counties are going to be the entities that apply for this, and they can apply for up to $150,000 for each city or county that's applying. Businesses with 5 or fewer employees, so your kind of micro businesses will be eligible to receive up to $30,000 per business, and then your larger small businesses can receive up to $50,000. Those can be businesses between 6 and 50 employees. There is a maximum grant award for $50,000 per company, so you cannot go over that $50,000 per company. But that $150,000 that is applied for, depending on how you want to use that funding, it can be used with multiple businesses throughout your community. We're leaving the applicants up to deciding how that funding can get distributed. For some fairly vague timelines, we are still hammering out some dates and making sure that we give you ample time ahead of time to prepare and ample time to actually write these applications. They shouldn't be too difficult to write, but I really want the collaboration and the conversations to happen within the communities to really be strategic about targeting businesses. So the applications will go live soon. We will have a webpage on the CDBG website so that you'll have access to all the grant information, guidelines. There will be an initial kickoff webinar that will be uploaded to our website, so you'll have resources regarding the program. And so we're hoping that the webpage and everything goes live next week. The one thing I do want to highlight is that the funds for this project will be prioritized for-profit businesses that have a majority ownership by a socially or economically disadvantaged person or persons as defined in 15 CFR 1400.4. Ann, could you put the link in the chat? Thank you. So what Ann put in the chat is a link to that, the guidelines there, so that you can look through them and see. It makes them, they're pretty broad, but we wanted to make sure that we're prioritizing the funding to those disadvantaged, I guess, groups. So if you have any questions on that, please don't hesitate to reach out after you read through them. We are still kind of familiarizing ourselves with those guidelines. And so there might be a little bit of a few pain points that we need to work through, but I just wanted to make sure you had that resource in front of you so you could get your gears going.
And again, this is the group that the funds will need to be prioritized for from the city or the county.
Yes.
We're awarding the city or the county.
Yes, correct. We will be awarding the city or the county, but it will be the city or county's responsibility to target those businesses that are within that prioritized group, within those guidelines that we had just sent. So standard CDBG grant requirements. This program is available for non-entitled communities, and you all know that the eligible cities, counties include Kansas City, Wichita, Topeka, Lawrence, Leavenworth, Manhattan, Overland Park, and all of Johnson County. So standard CDBG rules. All of those communities receive their own CV funding. So we're trying to make sure the funding gets to folks that did not get it. You must have a zero balance with a CDBG local revolving loan fund, the RFL and the NL. This is for for-profit businesses only. So no nonprofits will be eligible for these funds. National objective is job retention, and over 51% of employees must meet the LMI per company. That's pretty standard with the previous CV grants and with CDBG in general. The company must have been in operation prior to March 1st of 2020. Since these are COVID CARES Act related funds, the business had to have been open before March 1st of 2020. I know that might knock some people out, but this is to support them moving forward. And since it's CARES and COVID funding, we had to make that stipulation. And then all other CDBG requirements is listed in the 2023 CDBG General Application Guidelines located on our website will apply to this program. For the community needs and community impact, to go into the actual application piece a little bit, we want to see applicants discuss the project needs for the community and the businesses that the impact will have. So we really want some strategic choices for the businesses. Like we want the cities and counties to show us how they're going to reach out to these specific folks to target these businesses that can really make a good impact on them so that they can keep the doors open and keep job retention up in case of future emergencies. We would like you to include information that provides a clear picture as to the specific needs of the community and businesses that these funds will benefit, and provide information on how these benefits will impact the community and businesses. So we really are hammering in on the needs and impact. For the project narrative piece, we need you to provide information regarding the scope of the project, how you intend to complete the project within the life of the grant, and then include information for each business that will benefit those funds. Oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot to finish my sentence here. But we would like you to identify the businesses that are within that prioritized group that I mentioned earlier. within the section that Ann had shared. And so that will be a very big part of this grant. We want to know what those businesses that you have targeted, how those are prioritized as disadvantaged, to make sure that these funds are going to the folks that need the most. For project readiness, we would like you to provide a timeline of the proposed activities, the implementation of these new enhancements or upgrades, the anticipated date of beginning that work, and the anticipated date of completing the work. If this is enhancements for technology, a lot of this turnaround should be fairly quick. We'd want to know about what professional development opportunities you're going to be utilizing, how installation might go. Give us those ideas. If there's any type of construction being included in this, we're going to need to know all the information about the construction process, how long it's going to take, environmentals, all that. For the project outcomes, we want to know how you're going to determine that these projects are a success. How are you going to measure these outcomes? If you're going to use any specific tools to measure these outcomes, identify those tools. But ideally, just share us what a successful project will look like, whether it's the implementation of a new e-commerce program within a business, the launch of a new website. It doesn't have to be super in-depth outcomes. We just want to know how you will be determining success. Okay, I know that was pretty quick. Do we have any initial questions over this project? Anything that comes to people's minds that they're immediately like, we need more information on this. We'd like to hear you talk about X, Y, and Z. Crystal. You want to unmute yourself, Crystal? Yeah, there we go.
Yes, sorry.
There you go.
Okay, so a couple of things we haven't gone over. If a city or county has already received 1, 2, or 3, can they reapply?
It's a perfect question, and that's one in the current FAQ that I have. Yes, so if you received CB 1, 2, or 3, you will be allowed to apply for these funds. That is different from the previous CB funds.
Now, what about the businesses in those cities or counties? If they have not reached their maximum amount of $30,000 or $50,000, can they reapply?
To the city or county, right? If the city or county gets awarded, right, Crystal?
Yes.
So that's a good question. And we haven't addressed this necessarily in the FAQs, but here's how I'm going to answer that on the fly, which is they need, again, the funds for this program are focused on prioritized for that group of businesses that meets the definition of 15 CFR 1400.4. So it is an expansive list. It's more than just a couple of bullet points. I think there's like 6 or 7 on the list at least. The funds have to be prioritized for those businesses. So what we want to see is businesses that, number one, meet that requirement. Number two, meet the 51% LMI jobs retained. And then what are they implementing through this grant program or through this grant opportunity that they haven't done, already. So I don't think we're going to necessarily exclude businesses that have already received CV funding, because this is a different type of funds than what CV Small Business Working Capital was previously. If you recall, during that time frame, the original rounds of CV was really about small business working capital that was, to help alleviate their costs or their bills or their expenses when they didn't have revenue coming in, but also to get back open again too. So as we were going through different stages of the pandemic. So these funds are really focused on that resiliency piece, how you're going to, prevent further needs as far as public health emergencies. So I would say, so again, I don't think we're going to exclude them, but you need to make sure that the businesses that there's a prioritization on businesses that meet that definition first.
And Crystal, I saw your question in the chat. The question is, can it be a building structure upgrade such as HVAC? Yes, we want you to make sure you tie it back to why it's a resiliency improvement. So if you're upgrading the HVAC to for air purification and air quality and things like that, I think that's great. Just make sure in the needs section you justify why that's what you're identifying and how it's going to improve that resiliency piece. Hey, Brett, I see your hand up. Do you want to come off mute and ask the question?
Hey, good afternoon, Brandon. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hey, I just wanted to know really quickly, maybe a two-part question. Number one, in CV 1, 2, and 3, it was kind of first come, first served, and I know you weren't around at that time. Do you anticipate this being like that, or are we going to have an actual application deadline and a rating matrix?
Yes, there will be an application deadline. This is a competitive grant, so there is an application matrix. We have the grant guidelines pretty much developed, and when we announce when those go live, you'll actually get to see what the application scoring rubric looks like. But within the PowerPoint that I went through the sections that you'll be targeting in the application. So yes, it will not be a first come, first serve. You will be applying and it will be a competitive process.
That's great. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Great Plains Development.
Still muted. Hello, this is AJ Amaro with Great Plains Development. I was just curious, when it comes down to the city and county funding the businesses, do they have to do 30,000 per business if it were the smaller ones, or could they also possibly choose to fund like up to 10 or 15,000 and then add more businesses to that pot?
That's a great question. The answer is no. You don't need to spend 30,000 per each business. If you want that money to go a lot further, definitely spread it out. You know, I don't want you to be pigeonholed into spending it just on one. If you've got a website upgrade that's going to only cost 8,000 for one business, I want you to make sure that you are, using the funding effectively. So you can only go up to 30,000 per small business and only 50,000 for those the slightly larger small business. We just wanted to make those caps so the money isn't going all towards one. So definitely spread it out as best as you can. But that'll be up to the cities and the counties to really figure that out.
And
Okay.
through your outreach, you should hopefully be then identifying which businesses qualify under this and which businesses are wanting to take advantage of the opportunity too. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of how many actual applicants you're going to have, which relates to the question that Crystal's asking, if the businesses have to be selected ahead of time. I'll take that one. If you know, so basically, no, they don't have to be pre-selected through an application process because that would be, too soon to do that. But we are asking as part of the application that you do provide a list of the businesses that you've engaged with and that are anticipated to go ahead and apply for the funding. And we are going to ask the question, yes or no, does that business meet the definition of 15 CFR 1400.4?
We got to small.
So 15 CFR and at all. So hopefully, Crystal, if you have further questions on that, let us know. This question from Jessica is a good one. Jessica, if the question you're asking, if a business received funding in prior rounds, will that funding be counted toward their max? It is a good question. And that is something I would like for us to do some research on. And we will put that in an FAQ because we have not gotten clarification from HUD if that is at play. We know that these are separate use funds. So like we said, we're not we're not going to restrict those businesses that received funds in the past from applying for these funds. But does it then mean that there's only a maximum award that they can receive if they were previously received funds? So good question. And we will research that, and we will make sure that that is addressed in the FAQs.
All right, any other questions? These have been great. These were super helpful and exactly what we were looking for so that we can beef up that FAQ section. You know, our FAQs are living documents, so we'll continue adding to them as we go through this process. But I just want to thank you all for being kind of the guinea pigs in this situation, this project.
Do we have other questions?
Doesn't look like we have anything else. Oh, sorry. Yes. Public hearing.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Crystal, or sorry, Rosemary, Kate, a public hearing will be required since it is a CDBG grant. We still have to follow those specific guidelines.
Yep.
So yes, it will be.
And we can, when we do the kickoff webinar, we can go through some more of those pieces, of course, in detail to kind of also help with the timeline.
Yeah.
Piece of this too, so that, you know, we can kind of give an idea for what it might look like if a city or county was applying for these funds.
Okay. Anything else before we move on? If if we get off this call and you immediately think of one, please don't hesitate to reach out and send me an email. It's brandon.hutton@ks.gov. So you can shoot it to me. You can send anybody on our team an email, and we'll make sure to get it answered and then add it to the FAQ. So just don't hesitate to reach out.
Okay. Moving on from that, we want to open it up we'll open it up now for just any general CDBG questions. We know that everybody's been working hard on applications, which we greatly appreciate, and appreciate everybody's patience through the application portal challenges that we've had. We are keeping our fingers crossed that the fix was done correctly, done right this time. And so just appreciate everybody's patience with that. I guess I would ask the group here that's joined us today, has that set anyone back significantly from being able to actually, complete your application? If that's the case, please let me know. And if there's issues still happening, please get a hold of us right away, because some of these glitchy things that happen with these online applications, we test for, and until it goes live to the real world, they don't always pop up. So are there any other general questions that I know most of you would have been going to public hearing last week? If at last minute, is there anything else question wise? Holly does?
Or additional documents uploaded, should they be a specific format,
Mhm.
PDF, Word, etc.?
Brandon, you tested, do you recall if I think all the formats are, most general formats are approved.
Yeah, when we set up the applications, Holly, we make sure that the documents that are uploaded are pretty diverse so that we don't have people that run into any issues. So if you have collected information through PDF, Word, Excel, whatever you're doing, if it's one of the standard formats, you can upload it. We don't have a specific format that we are looking for.
And I see that there's a question about base grants. As far as I understand, at least as of April 12th, we have not had announcements on base, a boat, or sprint yet. Those are coming.
Yeah, I was just looking at the chat to see if there were any updates from that, but that's the last. Yep, that's the last I see as well, but good question, Kelly. Just so everyone knows, those have nothing to do with CDBG, but they are commerce programs. So that's okay. Fair question, Kelly.
Yeah.
Fair question. Other general questions? Quiet group today.
Okay. As always, don't hesitate to reach out if you have any further questions. Email is probably the best way to get to us. We are going through an office kind of deconstruction and then reconstruction. So things are going to be a little chaotic for the offices for the next few weeks. So I would definitely say emailing is probably the best way to contact us. So just don't hesitate to reach out. I know, yeah, like you said, we're coming up to some grant deadlines. So good luck of getting all that in. If you run into any issues with application submittal because you're running into some weird bugs or hiccups, please let us know as soon as possible so that we can address that with our IT team and do what we need to do to help you move forward. If there's nothing else on our team, I think we can go ahead and shut it down for the afternoon and see you all next month for the next third Thursday.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.